I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-ma-gob, it's time for the only news that matters on Black Sabbath Sunday. And former Ozzy Osbourne guitarist Jakey Lee maintains his best ever work was the self-titled debut album from his next band, Badlands. The record has been unavailable for decades, which Lee claimed was the result of a punishment by the record label following a dispute. And with a recent interview with Guitar World, said that the reason he kept a low profile for nearly 20 years before returning with the Red Dragon Cartel in 2025. Said, with Badlands, as far as creatively working with other musicians and having a band unit, that was as good as it ever gets. The first time I listened back in 1989 and heard the finished product, I didn't know if it was gonna sell, but I knew it was really, really good. I knew it was. To me, it was perfect. I worked really hard on those songs, and I was there for everybody while recording. I was there for the mixes and thought it was a beautiful piece of art. It's too bad you can't get it anymore. Asked why that's the case, he blamed late Atlantic Records boss Ahmet Ertegun, I think that's how they pronounce his name. Rest in peace, Ahmet Ertegun, who he said reacted powerfully to a falling out with Badlands singer Ray Gillen. He said, "There's been so many theories, but it was also his decree." I don't know exactly what was said, but Ahmet was so upset with Ray, and this is what I've heard from people that would know. And he made a decree and said, "We're burying Badlands. I don't ever want them to see the light of day again. They're history." And he was the man. It was his record company, saying he'd be really happy with his career to that moment in 1993. He said, "When it all folded, I was just so heartbroken that I didn't want to do anything anymore. There was a period of a decade where I wasn't doing anything. It was because I was just so heartbroken over what happened with Badlands." Lee, who returns to music sporadically in the 21st century before forming Red Dragon Cartel, expressed hopes that Badlands would be reissued, although he said time was running out to make it happen. He said, "I imagine someday someone will say, 'We've punished them enough. There's potential for making money here,' because lots of people would love to see that album out again. There might be one thing, but I've got to act on it fast. There might be one way I can get the masters, and I really need to start working on that because that's it. There's a deadline on that." All right. This is news to me. I've always heard conflicting stories of why the Badlands albums were never released again. And, you know, the stories I heard had something to do with Ray Gillen giving these girls AIDS and the parents of those girls were suing. Something like that, which I didn't understand. I don't know how that works. I guess there is some way legally they can sue the record company. I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is that with Jake saying this, and again, it shows like how Jake's head is. He doesn't really care. All he cares about is music, you know. And here, Ray Gillen had a big fight with the guy from Atlantic Records, and he doesn't even remember what the fight was about. But it was enough to ruin his career. And yeah, you know, I mean, man, technically, yeah, you can't beat Jakey Lee on that first Badlands. Well, he can't. You know, the first two Badlands, really. Not a fan of Dusk, I'm sorry. But the first two Badlands, I even like Voodoo Highway even a little bit more. Not much more, but a little bit more. I love Jake's playing on those two albums. My favorite Jake playing is Bark at the Moon, though. But I'm more of a, you know, heavy metal guy, and that was such a heavy metal guitar album, even though he was kind of buried in the mix. I've heard him say in interviews, which I guess is true. I can't really tell with my bad production ears, but it's not really, in-your-face guitar work where it would have been awesome to raise those guitars and hear that little riff he does in Waiting for Darkness. Oh, man, that would be sick. Raise that, you know? But that's my favorite playing right there, is the freaking Bark of the Moon album. I'm not a big fan of Ultimate Sin, but his playing on Ultimate Sin is definitely the VIP. I even remember seeing an interview with Ozzy Osbourne talking about Ultimate Sin when it was new, saying, Jakey Lee, it should be a Jakey Lee solo album. He is the VIP. And I agree. I mean, the songs, some songs I like, most songs I didn't, but the guitar work on all of those songs rule. A good example, a song I don't like on there, but the guitar playing is unbelievable, the song Never. Whoa, does Jake rip on that. But then you go to Badlands, man. And man, I was there, man. I was there when Badlands saw that first tour twice. I saw him open, I think it was Tesla and Great White with Badlands, and then I saw them headline a club on that same tour. And then they came back on Voodoo Highway, and they headlined the same tour. And yeah, I remember they were driving around in cars and U-Haul trailers. It was really hardcore. And I got to meet them, and I got their autographs. And oddly enough, I'll show you right here. This is the autograph copy I got of Badlands. I got Eric Singer to sign it later. But in the inside of that CD, Ray Gillen signed it again. So he signed the CD twice. And yeah, you can't get the CD anywhere, and it's signed by the band? Ooh, must be expensive. I'll never know, because I'll never sell it. For me, Badlands was a very special band. They weren't doing nothing new, and a lot of the bands that, you know, started off glammy and stuff, they came out and tried to, you know, do that bluesy rock that Badlands was doing. I feel like Badlands did it right, you know? I mean, it's a brand new band. There's no, you know, band history, you know, except for Jakey Lee, really. And, you know, what, Ray Gillen just did a tour with Black Sabbath, and so did Eric Singer, and, you know. And, but there was something special about that music. I mean, yeah, a lot to do with Jake, but my God, Ray Gillen, what a voice. One of the greatest singers ever. I mean, hands down. The stuff he does on those Badlands albums, unbelievable. And the music's just great. The music's awesome. And, you know, you got this powerhouse of a drummer, Eric Singer, but then you get the singer of Racer X playing drums on the second album. And I'm sorry, man, he plays just as good as Eric Singer did on the first Badlands, if you ask me. Jeff Martin's a great, great drummer. And then I got to witness it because I saw the Voodoo Highway tour. And damn, they were amazing, man. I love Voodoo Highway. Is like, you know, a lot of people don't see that, really acknowledge that album. But my God, you talk about a great follow-up. Even better than the original, which is hard to say because that first Badlands was unbelievable. And it should have been huge. It should have been huge. I guess record companies messed it up because I remember, man, when they released the video for Winter's Call, I remember it was on Dial MTV, which means people were calling in for that video. And then after that, it just sunk. It just disappeared, and Voodoo Highway wasn't promoted, really not even half as much. Damn shame. And yeah, Jake went into hiding, man, after that, because he was so heartbroken. And boy, so was I. So was I. I'm very sad that Badlands, you know, didn't exist for more albums, and so sad that Ray Gillen, you know, I feel sadder for the people he infected, but at the same time, you know, God, what a waste, man. What a waste. What a soulful voice that guy had. Listen to the song In a Dream. The vocals on that are one of the greatest vocals ever recorded on tape, if you ask me. Unbelievable singer. Unbelievable. Band was tight. Greg was a very solid bass player. Just a great band, man. Badlands. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the only news that matters. And I thank you for watching. And what do you all think about Badlands? Put it in the comments below. And you know, I forgot to mention too that Rock Candy released the Badlands album, and then they ordered them to take it out. I don't know what happened there, but they released it, and then it was ordered to be taken down. So they stopped pressing it. A lot of mystery behind this, but hey, maybe Jake's right. He just doesn't remember exactly what happened. So thank you, everybody. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and ring that little notification bell, and like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Soul Stealer by Badlands and Schmack a Macabre.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.